A wise person once said, the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the UK Conservative Party, a great woman, really smart woman, someone who's achieved a lot. When you say a lot, she's achieved a lot being, I don't want to use the word immigrant here, but she's sort of like an immigrant into the country. So, and I'll be telling you guys exactly why I said she's an immigrant in a bit. So, Kemi Badenoch, she's been getting a lot of it recently. Auntie Kemi is someone who a lot of Nigerians should be celebrating. If you look at the pattern of Nigerians abroad and how Nigerians at home kind of react to these people, you'd understand what I mean by she should be celebrated. First and foremost, let's look at people like Anthony Joshua, Israel Adesanya, Bayo Ogunleshi. Successful Nigerians who live abroad are mostly very celebrated. They are like celebrities at home. But the only person who seems to defy this very common law is Auntie Kemi Badenoch, and this is for a lot of reasons, which I'll be stating in this video. But before we say much, I want to reiterate this. Kemi Badenoch is as Nigerian as any Nigerian. She's very Nigerian. Genetically, culturally, mentally, even in so many of her demeanors, you can see the Nigerian in her. Of course, Kemi Badenoch grew up in Nigeria. She only left Nigeria after the age of 16. So she's more Nigerian than so many Nigerians. And the only reason why she's British today is because there was a law back in 1980 when she was born, which allows people born in the UK, even though their parents don't pay tax in the UK, their parents have no direct link with the UK, they don't work in the UK, they can actually become British citizen just by being born in the UK. This still happens in America till Donald Trump actually stopped a lot of people having access to this same kind of system. So Kemi Olufunto Adegoke was born on the 2nd of January 1980 in Wimbledon, London. Her mother had traveled from Nigeria to the UK to give birth in St. Teresa Private Hospital before the British Nationality Act of 1981 abolished automatic citizenship for those born in the UK. Then thereafter, the mom returned to Nigeria, where she basically grew up. Then she returned to the UK at the age of 16, where she came to study, and some also claim it's because there's some political turmoil in Nigeria, which I don't know what was happening at that time, so I won't be able to say, but it should fall around the military dictatorship time in Nigeria, so that might make a little bit of sense. Now, let's talk about exactly why Auntie Kemi is getting a lot of bruising and battling from Nigerians, because, this is really serious. I was on a TikTok live, I think, was it yesterday, and there was a lot of people talking on this TikTok live, and the only reason why they were talking is because Auntie Kemi has been saying a lot of very inflammatory stuff about immigrants, and they feel targeted directly. Let's actually talk about things she said in the past about Nigerians, which Nigerians consider a grave sin. So first and foremost, she's talked about how she doesn't identify as a Nigerian. She tries her best to not have any kind of relationship with Nigeria. She doesn't want any British person to think, oh, this lady is Nigerian and she wants to be British Prime Minister. She thinks any association between her and Nigeria reduces her chances of becoming Prime Minister, basically. So she's been found in the past saying, I identify more as ethnic Yoruba rather than a Nigerian. She said, noting that she would never be associated with Northerners, whom she said are apologists of Boko Haram insurgency. The British politician also addressed the question of corruption in Nigeria, describing a lived experience in which the Nigerian police stole from her brother. I don't hear Rishi Sunak saying a lot of bad things about India or from the African country where his parents immigrated from. But Kemi Badenoch, or Auntie Kemi, like I said originally, keep doing the same thing, and she seemed to really love it. She said, I grew up in Nigeria and I saw firsthand what happens when politicians are in it for themselves when they use public money as their private piggy banks when they pollute the whole political atmosphere with their failure to serve others. I mean, two things can be right at the same time. She's saying a lot of bad things about Nigeria, which she shouldn't be saying, but Nigerian politicians are extremely corrupt. We all agree on that. I mean, so many people would even regard Nigeria as one of the most corrupt countries in the world, which, I mean, these guys are people that shouldn't have power in the first place. But that is not the point we're talking about right here. We're talking about, I mean, you being ethnically Yoruba, which in turn makes you Nigerian, because it doesn't make sense for someone to say, "Oh, I'm British, but I'm not European." As long as you're Yoruba, you're Nigerian. It doesn't matter, and you had a Nigerian passport at some point, either you like it or not, or you lived in Nigeria, you speak like a Nigerian, and you're basically Nigerian too. Let's not argue that, to be honest. For some reason, she enjoys this attention that comes from distancing herself from Nigerians, and Nigerians tend to give her that attention, to be honest, because Nigerians don't let it slide, and they will always talk about it. Now, let's look at what she said recently, that Nigerians consider the holy grail of sin.
Really? And it's over for 5 years you can qualify to be a British citizen, but now it's 10 years. Is that over that whole 10-year period?
It would actually take it from 5 to 15. So British citizenship is not an entitlement. It is not a right. It is a privilege. And we have one of the easiest routes to citizenship, and we need to tighten that up.
So basically, what our madam, our auntie, is saying is she doesn't feel people who's been in the UK, I mean, people who pay tax, who pay IHS, who pay ton of money into the system while working in a care home, shouldn't be allowed to be British citizen until after 15 years. Because she thinks it's too easy to become British citizen. I mean, come here. Think about it. Let's use people who do care job for an example. The job itself, it's not the best thing to write home about from what people have said. And, you know, that's the easiest part of the whole situation. Let's talk about the work environment, the toxicity, having to deal with some carrying every single time you go to work, where you feel like everyone hates you. And also within the current system, which is 5 years, before you get your ILR, having this constant fear that if you make any single mistake, you're going to be deprived, or you're going to lose your COS, which is the certificate of sponsorship by the company, which they consistently rub on your face because they know they've got that power to actually make you go back to your country. And then you constantly have to deal with all those things where they tell you to come in during the holidays to work, or because you don't want to lose your COS, you go to work. Having have to deal with that for 5 years, our senior sister thinks extending that level of torture for another 10 years is a perfect plan to reduce immigration.